setup here, this is providing the speakers. Other stereos have little. These are guitar amps actually. Have little speakers, little tiny things.
Mm-hmm.
You see people buy their computer. They buy computer speakers, which is okay for my personal workstation. But for this, I need volume. Now these Bose aren't the best speakers in the world, but they're better than most. There are some good monitors now that are self-powered. They're little things like this. They're about $100 a piece, so you need two of them, $200. These were $150 a piece. And I have them on this old analog Yamaha receiver I bought in the 90s, but it has Dolby Pro Logic, so it gives us a center channel and left and right, which is some people don't prefer that. They want to hear just stereo, but I found it's much better for it to decode the stereo into left, center, and right. And I could go through and through why that happens and how it happens, but we're not going to. Okay, I asked you before what a TRS cable is.
Mm-hmm.
This is a TRS cable. See, on a guitar, you use a TS cable, tip sleeve. So there are just two connections.
Mm-hmm.
A common, which is the jacket, and the tip, which is the hot. It says that's the hot. You touch that, it goes. TRS, tip ring sleeve, allows you to send two signals and the common. So the sleeve is this, and two signals. The reason why that's useful is because with an XLR, what makes XLRs advantageous is you can actually have an isolated ground. It's optional whether to hook pin 1, which is the ground, this guy here, to the jacket. It doesn't have to. So the shield that's in here, there's a twisted pair inside the shield, is optional whether or not to connect the jacket, the coax jacket, to the connector, which means also that the ground connects to the body of whatever it's plugged into.
Mm-hmm.
And that's optional. In fact, there are some connectors with a switch on it where you can disconnect, you can manually disconnect the ground. And do you know why these connectors are used and why there are three connections, a common and two signals? Do you know why?
Mm-hmm.
No. These things are important. So, what everyone should know about audio. All a microphone is a membrane hooked to a magnet. There's a magnet in here, like this. The sound waves make the membrane move, right, which moves the magnet. And there's a coil, or vice versa. There can be a coil and a fixed magnet. Either way, it doesn't matter. They did that first. They had the magnet floating on the diaphragm. You see these old movies, these giant microphones?
Yeah, and that's why they invented Phantom.
No.
No. But I'm getting.
You're getting there.
Yeah.
They what they were doing is they had like a they were using I think it was cellophane was one of the first plastics. And what they would do is they would take cellophane and put an amplifier on it, and when it moved, it would change capacitance. But back to the magnet. So you can have a coil fixed to the diaphragm. The sound moves the coil. The problem is the coil has to be connected to the outside world, which is a little troublesome. In fact, I'll show you one. Let's look at a microphone can be a speaker and vice versa. There's no direct electrical connection through a transformer. It's inductive. There's a coupling between the two signals. So as the wires come out, they go into a twisted pair. Like that. So it's a twisted pair. And there's a shield that goes around the whole business. And that's what the bulk of the microphone is. You know, all this metal here. And the cylindrical package that's connected, like I said, through that pin 1 to the wire. So the wire is just a pipe with a couple of twisted pairs in it, and the pipe is braided copper. You've shredded cable, and you see the braid around the outside. Mm-hmm. RF cable is a single conductor, but microphones are twisted, and there's a reason. On the input of the amplifier is a transformer. So the amplifier goes here. That's the universal symbol for an amplifier, just a triangle. So the signal is going this way, and the amplifier is going that way. Okay, and this is grounded to the power supply. The signal, these two twisted pairs can appear here like this. So you get a twisted pair. It's hard to draw a twisted pair, so it goes like this. Okay. So the signal appears on the input of the transformer from the coil here. There's no direct electrical connection. And the coax that you see, the metal stuff, can be connected either to the transformer and float, or it can be connected to the ground of the input. So there are amplifiers in here. So that's what this is. Inside there is a simulated transformer. They don't even use transformers anymore. It's simulated. But the reason why that happens is wonderful. It's a unique property of nature. That's why microphones don't hum, because the signal going through the wires only changes from one wire to the other. A signal that's common to both wires isn't amplified. It's called common mode rejection, CMR. Common mode rejection. Any signal that's impressed on the wires that's the same is canceled. Any signal that's different on the two wires is amplified. So you can have long leads in a noisy environment and it doesn't pick up the noise. Mostly. It's not perfect, but it's way better than just a single line like this, where you have just a tip sleeve. Mm-hmm. It's unbalanced. This is called unbalanced because the signal is hot on one side and grounded on the other. This is balanced. So XLRs are balanced. The tip ring sleeve connector is the same thing, except with this convenience. So we have these new connectors here. See this right here? Mm-hmm. It's XLRN, right? Right? Mm-hmm. Okay. And it's this too.
I see those a lot, but I've never understood that.
TRS. And there's superstition about TRS. TRSs are better. No. You'll hear musicians, good old boys. Oh yeah, I put TRS connectors on everything because they're better. No, they're not. They're just different. So what happens is, the advantage is, you can take one of these guys. See this? It says insert. Okay? It says insert. See, I have a tip ring sleeve here, but I made this. This is a guitar cable. See, but it goes to that. So in here, these two are shorted inside here together. The tip and the ring are shorted together. And it goes into the insert here. What that does is there's an amplifier between this connector and the tip and the ring here. Let's see, the output of the amplifier goes here, goes to the tip, and the input to the slider, the electronics here, go to here. So when you short them together, it's as though there's nothing there. It's like it is now, because inside there, when you pull this out, the tip and the ring's short. The connector has a switch in it, and the pressure of you plugging it in disconnects them and disconnects the output of this amplifier to here, and the output of this amplifier, the input of this amplifier to here. So I can hijack the signal but not interrupt it. So I can take the signal out here and listen to it on the mixer, right? Get all the EQ and the patches and everything to the mixer, monitor it and so on, or send it out somewhere, put it through a processor. But I can also record it. So I can put it on the input of something else. So even though this is tip ring sleeve, it's not balanced, because what happens here, see the amplifier? The amplifier, there's a microphone here, right, going in. The signal comes out. This transformer is the XLR. So what we want to be able to do is go to the tip and the ring, the output there, and this goes to the input of the next amplifier, which is this stuff. So we want to be able to insert a processor in here, like this guy. This is a vocal processor. So I put the microphone in here, and I interrupt it there, feed it out here, and put it back through. So these inserts break out the inputs, but it's just for microphones. See, there are only 4 microphone inputs. This is a stereo mixer. See, it has all these stereo inputs. This is not the typical mixer. That is that guy there. That has a whole bunch of microphone inputs. Anyway, enough of that. I know it's quite a bit to handle, but microphones are balanced, are called balanced. They do that so that you can have long lines without picking up noise. Mm-hmm. So, the environment is full of electronic noise, and if you just had unbalanced inputs like your guitar, mm-hmm. This is why you have humbucking pickups. They're wound differential in such a way that they only pick up the vibration of the string, and they cancel any magnetic signals that are in the environment, which is that, when you walk near something that has electronic output, like a big transformer or something, it goes yeah. Well, humbuckers eliminate some of that, but it can't possibly eliminate all of it. But it helps. But that's why they're expensive, because there are actually 2 pickups in there, and they're wound in a balanced mode like that. So they only pick up the motion of the strings and not electrical signals in the environment. That's all it is, just a way of using 2 coils to balance the signal. Okay, so this computer, this is a quad core. I made it myself about 5 years ago. It's old. Compare 5 years in computer age is an eternity these days. Things evolve very quickly. But it's powerful enough to do what I'm doing so far. It hasn't really been a problem, especially now that I put Windows 8 on it. Windows 8 is way better. It's way better. XP was real troublesome. So instead of using the audio that's built into the motherboard, you know how you get the little connectors on the back of the computer? I'm not using that. I'm using this device. Now look at this. This thing, see it says 828 Mark II, and this again is over 5 years old. But it has these inputs, and on the back there are connectors for all of these channels right here. See, left and right, that's these two right here, the left and right mic, right? You see, there are displays for all of the inputs. Plus it has, you know what SPDIF, you know what that means? Sony Philips Digital Interface. So, and the main output. So the bay that has all the connections for the inputs and the outputs for this, I've jumpered with these little patch cables, these TRS cables, into this patch bay. See, and they come out here. As a matter of convenience, I have the inputs and the outputs of all of this stuff into here, and I made a chart because there's no way I can remember it all. So this is the chart with all the connections, right, numbered just like this bay here. And you see who makes it, you know who DBX is? No. Okay. DBX is also owned by Harman. Harman owns Harman Kardon, JBL, AKG, they make microphones, Studer, big high-end recorders, Crown, amplifiers, Crown speakers, they make speakers too, Crown, some other people, I forget. Anyway, so anyway, the outputs from this guy, this is a FireWire interface into this guy, and it's configured to use this for the audio. So when you have to turn this stuff on before you turn the computer on, so that it's ready when the computer boots. Otherwise it'll say, there's, what's going on, my audio interface is not there, and it puts up warnings. So turn on that switch down there. That guy. Just reach in here. It's okay.
Oh, right here. Okay. Right here?
Yeah. Okay. See, this stuff turns on, right? See, it's booting. See, it flashed. Okay, that means it's ready. See that? Okay, then boot the computer. That toggle switch right there. Just push it up once. That's it. All this stuff will flicker and flash. And this is the audio amp. So basically what I've done is I've broken out all of the major audio and video functions of this computer into more massive stuff. I need some water. So this stuff will boot. Okay. Are you familiar with Windows 8? Have you used it?
Not regularly.
It's very different. Let's go ahead and do Cubase. This is the project assistant. It's like a flash screen that comes up, allows you to select how you're going to proceed. And all I do is I click this clean guitar thing, and I basically ignore their presets. So we expand the environment. This is the transport control. As you can see, it has, go to the previous marker, rewind, fast forward, go to the next marker, repeat or cycle, stop, play, and record. And then there are all these other things in here to show you where you are. You can turn on the metronome here, and it shows you, these indicators show the MIDI activity and the CPU and memory. Digital audio software can be very troublesome.
Mm-hmm.
Many people buy a computer, they buy the software, they buy an interface, they put them all together, and they can't get it to work reliably. It won't record reliably, it won't master, it won't export reliably, it chatters, it skips, it complains. They can't figure out how to get the interface to work reliably, or they make the wrong choices in how they're recording it, so it doesn't sound right. They have hum problems. Hum is a constant difficulty. The other day, just before you came, I had hum problems in there. And it was new. Suddenly one day I turned the stuff on and there was bad hum. Mm-hmm. And it was recording it and I didn't hear it. And that's very unprofessional. Unwanted noise is not good. It means you're not in control.
Mm-hmm.
It's like letting go of the handlebars on a bicycle. Ah! Or the steering wheel on the freeway. Look,
Hey,
no hands.
I can do it.
Yeah. All it was, I had hooked up some new stuff, made some more pathways, wiring and stuff, and there was hum between the Macintosh, which way I do the video, record the video on the Mac, and the chassis of the equipment in the stacks there on the left. See the metal?
Mm-hmm.
The stacks right here, these stacks.
Mm-hmm.
So there are two ways of finding noise: either lift grounds, unplug stuff, disconnect everything until it goes away, or add grounds, clip grounds between, physical alligator clip wires between chassis. That solved the problem. To go between the Mac and that chassis, there was a ground loop, or a problem with the power supplies. So I let that clip on there, and it's still on there, but I subsequently have hooked more cables. So it was actually the television and the Mac. The Mac was picking it up, but the TV was causing it. TVs are troublesome because there are so many things, You have players and cable boxes, and the cable box is hooked to a cable which goes out to a separate power supply with long lines, and there are grounds all over the place.
Yeah.
So when you start integrating all this stuff, if you follow the wires on all that stuff, there's wires going to the power, there's wires going to the microphones, there's wires going to the cable box, there are computer wires. Whoa. There are Ethernet wires, network wires.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's all over the place. And trying to find a ground hum problem is like, it took hours. It took me 3 hours of yelling and screaming and cursing. Many people buy stuff and they have these problems, and because they don't know what to do about it or solve it, they either live with it or they just say, well, this is too hard, it's too difficult. And people know that I know how to figure these things out, and I get these unwanted or unsolicited technical questions on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Someone told me that you know how to do this and you know how to do that, and then blah 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 blah. Oh. So the studio here is the first attempt I've made at actually doing stuff in the community.
Mm-hmm.
You're an example. Unsolicited help.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's be careful what you wish for, because if you want people to be able to use you, but you want them to use you on your terms.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be careful about stuff, because you can make promises or claim that you do things, and then people will make demands of you. Unless you know how to deal with these demands, it can take over your life in an unwanted and undesirable way. Because you want to be good to people and you make promises or obligations, and stuff happens, you can't do it, or some people just can't be satisfied. No matter what you do, they're unhappy with it.
Mm-hmm.
People are strange beasts. You can shower money on them. Oh, that's not good enough. Marriage is the same way. I won't go there.
More money. More money.
Yeah. I need service. Service me. Buy me a car. Buy me jewels. I want to go to Europe. Now that was fun. Now let's do something else that costs this. Or I want all of your time. Don't go to work. You need to stay here. Anyway, this is the same way. These are tools that require significant understanding and experience to get anywhere with them. Digital audio workstation, this is Cubase 5, is what's called a computer-aided design or display device, what they call CAD. This is an outshoot from the CAD industry that does drawing or animation or design, drafting.
Mm-hmm.
It's just specialized to deal with audio signals. Now this also, they've added video. You can actually drop a video file in here and it will edit the audio. You can add, process, whatever. What it does is it allows you to do tracks. You have these tracks here. You can drop audio into it. And, they're flavors, mono, stereo, different bit rates, different bit depths. You know what bit rate and bit depth, what those mean? A bit rate and a bit depth. Bit rate is the sample rate.
Mm-hmm.
The bit rate is the samples per second, and a sample has a width which can be 8, 16, 24, 32.
Mm-hmm.
So the bigger the sample is, the higher the bit rate is going to be, but at the same sample rate. So the bit depth is how big the number is for each sample.
Mm-hmm.
Remember what we were going through with the tables of numbers?
Yes.
The bigger the number is, the higher resolution the recording is.
Mm-hmm.
But the faster they go by, the higher the sample rate. But the bigger the number and the faster they go by, the higher the bit rate.
Mm-hmm.
So they're geometrical. Okay. So the tracks, the great thing about these programs is they've been designed in such a way that it's carefree. You can drop the files into the tracks, and no matter, to a certain extent, no matter how the format, the compression scheme they've used on the file, the bit rate, the bit depth, whatever has been happening to the file, the program will accommodate it. So you can have many tracks with many different formats all together, and it keeps them all in the same framework. That's why they call it a workstation, because it's like a bench full of tools. Everything's there for you, and you can use them all at the same time. Right?
Right.
Okay?
Okay.